AI coding market is projected to grow from 6 billion in 2024 to over 25 billion in 2030, meaning we're going to see an explosion of new applications, new platforms coming from not so technical founders. But we still see that 77% of users abandon the apps and platforms within first 3 days. Why? Because AI tools can't really replace validation and human context.
That's why today's episode we're going to cover why AI coding tools can't build success alone, why poor prompting makes it worse and how to fix that, and our 6-step validation process that prevents wasted builds. So let's start, in short, by saying, for those that don't know, an AI coding tool like Lovable or Blink is software that converts natural conversational language prompts into working applications by automatically writing the front end, back end, and database code.
Yeah, I think it's important to differentiate the AI coding tools and no-code tools, because no-code tools have been around for a very long time now, such as I think Bubble. So you basically still in sort of, it doesn't require coding, but it's kind of drag and drop elements when you're using no-code tools, and you still...
And similar to Figma, is that no-code?
Well, Figma is not coding really. Figma is designing stuff, and then you can push it into a coding tool, but no coding tool is more like you create code without coding, right?
Okay, more like the dev side of things.
Yes, exactly. Okay. And Lovable, it's a new thing because you can actually, using just simple prompts, write the entire application, which for me is absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And it's going to change how we actually create products. So I'm super excited to talk about it.
I love what Anastasija has said, the founder of Lovable, where he said, for a long time, millions of ideas have been locked in the heads of non-technical people. And now with Lovable, those ideas get unlocked. That's like quite a cool, empowering idea, right? So now we've got an explosion of new products. This is actually a really exciting time.
I wanted to talk to you about why AI coding tools can't build success alone, because there's a lot of things that people getting excited around. They just think they're just gonna pay, I don't know, it's like $20 or $30 a month, and the AI tool itself is going to fix all of the problems they have.
And could be more than that, because is it credits also?
Well, I think you pay monthly like $20 or $30, and I think you get maybe. It depends on the package you get.
Okay.
You get amount of credits, and then you use those credits. And as you run, I think every prompt is a credit, and there's different events that are credits. So depending what you're asking the tool, it will eat up your credits. Obviously, you have to be very smart about how you're prompting it.
Gotcha.
But I think a lot of people think that they can use those tools to replace proper understanding with customers and proper understanding of problems that you're solving. And in some cases, it could be the fastest way to waste your money if you don't know what you're building, right? So we had example of our client, and they had already application, but they wanted to, so they ran the process with us, we did coaching with them, they understood where the problems were, and then they thought instead of going to developers again, they would use Lovable in order to build a better version of what they already had.
Well, I think she was trying to streamline and be cost effective, and to
Absolutely.
take some of that understanding that we supported her to find and plug that in to see what it would come out. It's actually quite a cool kind of experiment.
I thought it was a great experiment. However, we did see that it didn't fix the actually underlying issues. So the interface was better, maybe flow was better, but the actual product market fit, I don't think AI will have really quickly. We'll be able to replace our understanding and our analysis, humans kind of way of thinking and understanding context. AI tools might not be yet there. Maybe they will get there. But at the moment, when we see what our clients have done, it's not actually fixing underlying problems. But yes, you do get a much better interface.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was one of the challenges with the specific build that she had.
Yeah.
The quality of components and the UI elements, all that kind of stuff was a bit that wasn't great. It wasn't like, a basic
Slightly
standard level.
dated, I would say, yeah.
Which what Lovable churned out was kind of light years ahead, and it's like, oh, okay, cool, these fields are way better to use. They're like, clearer headings, you got tooltips, all that kind of stuff, which was missing from the original build. So like on face value, that looked like oh great, we've nailed it.
Yeah.
But then when you have an understanding of what it is that you're trying to deliver and a kind of sort of imagination of the site of where things could go, we were both looking at it thinking, oh, maybe this isn't actually as good as it could be. There's still plenty to be done.
Well, you know how we always work with clients and we focus on two things, right? Product market fit of your platform and the usability of your platform. I think Lovable has solved that problem of usability a bit like more.
Yeah.
However, product market fit, so like your pricing, your offer, your core functionality, the whole idea, Lovable cannot actually come up with this as well, because you need to really understand your target audience, what they are okay to pay for what you're offering, how they want it to be working, and then you feed that into Lovable in order to kind of create this magical mix that will make you money and make everybody happy, right? So I just want to quickly cover those reasons why AI on its own, even though it's amazing, I'm absolutely blown away by abilities that Lovable and Blink can give us, but they still kind of things we need to take into account when we're using those tools, right? And one of them is that AI doesn't understand the real life context. And when we work with our clients, we're always trying to make it super clear that, Lovable, it's not Lovable, but not, any AI tool, any AI really, a chat, GPT or any other tools, they do not understand the life because they're not alive, right? So when we're building a platform or application, I remember I was working with one client and he was building this application for the builders so they can manage the projects better. Now he built it like it was a mobile application from what I recall. And he said one of the things he didn't know when we started sort of looking into this, that the builders really often work obviously in the full light of the day in the construction site. So actually the design that he's suggested for that application was not working. There was like a high contrast when there was a full sun and it was very bright, the builders could not see the screen really well because I think it was like a dark theme to make it look very cool. And also, the builders have really quite big hands. They're really strong, right? So making small buttons for them was a massive mistake. So AI will not know those things. We need to find those things for ourselves, right? With our customers. So that's what I'm saying. AI doesn't understand that. It doesn't understand that people commute to work in the morning, that it's crowded it doesn't understand what the crowded means. It doesn't understand when you keep holding a latte in one hand and your phone in the other hand and trying to sort out something on the application.
A latte.
A latte. So that is missing, right? So we need to bring that into AI's world.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. I agree with you completely on that. And that kind of moves on to the second point, which is about it builds what you ask. So in all of those things that you're talking about is, okay, we need to, some of the best prompts are like pages long because you're actually giving it as much context of the real world that it's missing, really. So it can it's got what it has access to, but you want to kind of draw attention to the important things for those people that you're building for, and the only way that you know that is by understanding who they are and what they need and the context that they're using, and just like making sure all of that is in the prompt, right? Otherwise it's just gonna make assumptions and fill in the gaps where you've kind of missed out. I mean, one thing that I've personally been playing around with is actually asking the different LMMs, what's the best way for you to for me to prompt you? Okay, and then I've created a prompt. Now can you give me feedback on how you might improve this prompt? So I kind of go back and forth, and then and I'm thinking, oh yeah, this I missed out. Okay, super helpful. And then when I do that and then ship that as a prompt, the output is way more where I want it to be. So yeah.
That's really cool, actually. That reminds me of the story. Remember when we were watching The Diary of CEO?
Yeah.
And Steven said, I think that he was asking ChatGPT if AI took over the world, what can we do? Basically, his idea was to ask AI how to overcome AI that became our enemy. So that's kind of like, it's really sort of a similar thing that you said. If you want to prompt AI really well, you need to ask AI like what is the best way to prompting it. So I think a lot of people trying to do it by themselves, and it's quite much more difficult then, obviously.
Yeah, I think it's so easy to do it yourself. You just throw in a question and it throws something out. But that just is a great way to improving your prompts and getting a fuller picture. So this is a prime example. Lovable creating a product application, web page, whatever it is, the more context you can give it, the better.
Hey guys, we're really hoping that you're enjoying this episode so far. And if you are, please like, subscribe and follow. And if you really want to know more about who we are and what we do, go to buildinggreattech.com. Now let's go back to the episode.
So with those prompts, one thing that I've been adding into my own prompts is who our kind of targeted ideal customers are. So if you can give an overview of those people, then it'll turn out stuff that is relevant for those people, taking into context your whole audience. I think building out what your prompts are is great. Another, like the next point off of that is it can't actually prioritize problems. So this is where understanding your target audience and their problems and the ordering of their problems, because your platform aims to overcome a big problem. What are all the
for the users?
For the users, yeah. Then what are all the other little kind of connected problems around that problem, and where do they sit in a priority, and how do you kind of order those things? I mean, this is a challenge that all kind of founders struggle with in general. Yeah, and businesses. You're overcoming a problem in your tool, but what's the order of those problems? Where do they hit them in the journey of trying to overcome those problems? So you need to have that context to be able to provide in the prompt the ordering of the problems, and then the solution again is going to come out way more suitable for those that you're targeting.
I mean, it's the same problem that majority companies, like you mentioned, have, right? That they have endless lists of features that they want to build.
Yeah,
it's always the same,
and that just keeps growing.
And
right?
that keeps growing. And Lovable or Blink or any other tool is not going to be able to solve it for you. It's not going to tell you, okay, we think. Well, it can't. If you ask it, it probably will tell you. You can ask ChatGPT, okay, I have a list of these 20 things. Which one should be a priority? And ChatGPT can spit it out for you based on the information that it has and data that it was programmed on, but it might have nothing to do with your actual audience, right? So it will be exactly the same to work with those AI coding programs. They will not be able to prioritize it for you. So it's on you to work out what is the priority, what is the 3 top things that your new platform or platform that you are improving should be focused on, and that should be based solely on data from your real customers, not from AI tools, not from guessing, not from books. Just from talking to your customers.
Yeah, I think sorry, just to interject there, it's a pattern generating model. So if you think about the content or the stuff that it's trained on, which we don't actually have sight of, but the stuff that's online, the majority of stuff is probably controversial, because that's the things that kind of gets engagement online in social media, that kind of stuff. So it's going to be a very kind of skewed version of the real world that your users of your product are kind of looking at. So it can kind of point you in the direction, no doubt, but you got to do some proper field research to actually understand the audience that you have access to and the real world in which they're kind of using your product.
Well, it reminds me when we started sort of working with our clients, right? And we were thinking, okay, what are the top 20, 30 things that our clients, which is like tech founders and tech business owners, what problems they have? And, we did start with AI.
We did, yeah. Actually, it was fascinating to get a broad scope of, okay, here's some key differences between tech founders and where they might come at building tech and what their background is. So that was cool to get some big overarching insights.
Yeah.
But then when you actually start talking to people that are engaged in your message online, what you're saying, your experience, where they are suited, then you get like a much more refined, real
feedback, like
real
responses.
feedback and data on that. So it's like a good starting place, but you shouldn't just rely on that whole like.
Yeah, and that takes us to the nicely to the next point, which is the AI is really biased in training data. So AI, when you ask it to build something, it really copies the pattern that existing applications and platforms have, which sometimes could be fantastic because we can be building, something that is based on Airbnb or on platforms like that, which is awesome because we don't want to reinvent the wheel. The UI should be recognizable, the patterns should be recognizable. But what we could see also that we end up with a lot of clones and not things that are different enough, right? Because it's like always this balance between like creating something completely new, but also so it's not too new so people know how to use it and it's kind of recognizable pattern, right? So, but you need to be aware that AI will have those biases around existing patterns, right?
Yeah, and Airbnb's like strategy isn't off of what AI is telling it. It's the stuff Brian's like insights from the market, who they're serving, right. Feedback from customers,
you mean
businesses,
Brian Chesky?
Yeah, that are using their services. And it's like part of his vision that's like steering the direction of that product and service. So yeah.
Well, we also need to be careful, like, what is it based on, right? Because if we were basing it on Airbnb, great. But we don't know what data it's been trained on. And, like we've seen that over and over when it's almost like people go online and searching for some designs patterns on some websites and platforms. Dribbble. Well, Dribbble is fantastic because I use it all the time, like to get some kind of inspiration. But we need to also realize that a lot of things that are on Dribbble look very nice, but might necessarily be usable in terms of creating the actual very well functioning platform, right? So we don't know what data those tools are being trained on. So we need to be kind of like careful with that. Like going back to that client who actually rebuilt her platform on Lovable, I was recently reviewing that, and I must say some of the elements were not sort of your standard elements. So for instance, you had like a subheader on the app landing screen where that looked like a notification more so than actual header or subheader, you know what I mean? So there were small things because AI obviously is still evolving. So we need to just kind of be not blindly trusting it, right? On top of that, AI really doesn't have any validation layer, right? So we asking, like you said, we ask AI, it will provide us what we're asking. But it cannot run interviews for us. It cannot do sort of prototypes testing or confirm what is, even if it's a good idea to create this application, right? We just need to remember that it's our job to validate it. And AI is amazing because we can really quickly, probably in the space of 1-2 days, we can create a working prototype. But let's not forget to just then get out there and kind of test it, right? Test it, validate, improve constantly.
Yeah, I think it gives you this amazing kind of illusion of progress. Because you just ship something, you create something that is brilliant, and that's actually really cool because you can actually get something that is prototype worthy that you can take out to people and put it in front of them and get their kind of feedback. So it gives you this demo, but let's not like forget that activity is not actually a validated kind of working product. It's like this step. So you've got something, now you can get out there, put it in front of people and get some like real kind of insights back on that thing that you've created.
Yes, you know what it reminds me of? Back in the day, maybe 10 or I don't know, 15 years ago, I thought that, if you build a website, that's it, and people will come and use it, and that is success, right? It's kind of similar now, like with those platforms. A lot of, I think, founders and companies thinking that, it's just building something, that's it, and people will come, right? Because it's like you said, it feels exciting, it feels like a progress, it feels like something that we had in our head finally has physical representation in the real world, which should be exciting. But just like you said, it doesn't equal that this is a success now. And also, when I told you I was working a little bit with Blink and Lovable, which is absolutely awesome, but I've noticed that if you're writing the prompts in the wrong way or a vague way, obviously you might get not the best result. So the obviously those downsides of the AI tools that we just mentioned, obviously not having context, being sort of blindsided by data it was trained on, it's one side that we need to remember. But then we also need to remember that the other part of the equation is actually quality of the prompting. And I was really bad, to be honest with you. I don't know if I'm really good now, but when I started using AI, I was pretty bad with prompting it. And I was trying to, because people say to you that it needs to be like very natural conversation, but it's not always that, because, we, like you said, like we have a lot of context of real life in our head. And if we just have a conversation like with a human, assuming that the AI also has that context in their head, we probably will have not the best results, right?
Yeah, I mean, just on a complete off the tangent, I think like people developing AI tools can kind of fall into that trap of like the best onboarding experience is just have the chat box and someone just chats, but actually it could be way more helpful. Like I tried Blink and I was super excited. Someone shared an example of what they'd created, and I thought, wow, that's actually amazing. In Blink, Blink. Sorry, did I say?
No, it's fine. I'm just confirming somebody built something in Blink.
Yeah, and it was really great. A tool for like creating blog posts with kind of that was driven by SEO, so it would work around your field and help with the targeting of your audience, etc. So I was like, great, brilliant, that sounds awesome, I'm going to jump in there. So I signed up, logged in, and I thought, he even gave the prompt, so I thought I'd start with the prompt, and then I tried to just tweak it and do a few things, and I just ran out of credits. So I did, I did actually, before I ran out of credits, it said, oh, there's an error.
Right.
Do you want me to fix it? I was like, yes, please, that would be helpful. So I said, fix it. It sort of churned away, and then, oh, it's broken again. Do you want me to fix it? Yes, fix it. Great, churned away. And then it's like, you're out of credits. And I thought, okay, that's a really rubbish onboarding experience, because I haven't actually got anything out of it. So I was like, oh, I can wait now for a month, or I can sign up and pay. But I'm not going to sign up and pay for something that hasn't actually demoed any value to me. So, a really important thing I think to consider is if you're building a product, platform or service, like how easy is it for someone to kind of use? Like, because there was no sort of guardrails on how wide or small to go with what it was. It was the guy on LinkedIn that had shared the post and said, I created this really cool thing. Was it
Ruben?
Yes, it was. Yeah. What's his surname?
Hassan, Ruben Hassan.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was really cool. The app that he made was cool, and he gave the prompt, and I thought, if I just tweak these few things, but then for some reason it didn't work, and there was no kind of, okay, like try something small first and then add, or don't go too wide. There's none of that. It's just like prompts. So,
I actually agree with you, because I tested Blink as well, and first of all, I found it difficult to know where to start to begin with.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's just an open form field that you just put your prompt into, but like, not everyone's in the world of tech. So, if you're in tech and you're into like AI and you're working out how to prompt it, okay, cool, you've got somewhere to start, but still, it doesn't really tell me the capacity of what your tool can offer. It doesn't tell me like how much I'm going to get in return for the credits I've got. When are they going to run out? Like,
yes, exactly.
None of that stuff.
I think it would be a great idea if before you actually press enter, so let's say you entered the new prompt, it's estimated how much credits it will use up for you.
Yeah, like, you know what? I just started experimenting with Clay AI. Super impressed with them. Wow. It's got like an entire whole kind of university on how to use that platform. It is massive, but one feature I really loved
is that for lead generator?
Yeah, it's like a sales. I think it does a whole lot more stuff as well. I'm sort of getting my head on it, so I don't want to go too detailed about what it is, but one amazing feature is it's got like a kind of sandbox, so you can try out your kind of requirements of creating your list, and then you can kind of preview the lists before committing to using any credits or your free stuff, so you can see what's happening in the list, and then I can edit my kind of filtering and options, and I'm not committed, I haven't lost anything, I'm experiencing the product, I'm seeing what it can do, the quality of the stuff that is coming back, and then when I'm happy, then I can kind of commit, and then I'm using some of my credits. So I was like, brilliant, that's a really smart way to slowly kind of onboard you. So I mean, that would be a smart thing for some of these tools to kind of consider, is there like a way of doing a sandbox to see if my prompt is even actually going to work? Because if it fails, what's the point in that? It's failed, and then you've also used all the credits. I'm like, I'm not interested in coming back, thanks very much.
I
wait for the next one.
Yeah, wait for a month. I had similar experience with Blink, as I said to you. When I went to Blink, I think it also was advertised by one of the content creators on LinkedIn. And when I went to Blink, I didn't know, I wasn't sure how to use it straight away. And it had like a suggestion to create Calendly, right? So basically you come there and it creates like a clone or something similar to Calendly. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna press this and see what happens. So first I had an error, obviously, that with no explanation what was happening, but then it sort of fixed itself. But before it could create the actual Calendly outcome for me to see it as a demo, it ran out of credits. So I thought it was not the best advertising for Blink that they suggest for you as your first time experience to create a platform that they cannot deliver within the test amount of credits.
Oh, I didn't even see that. So it does actually have some level of onboarding then. It wasn't
onboarding, it was just a suggestion within the text field where you're supposed to put the prompt.
Oh, okay, I didn't even see that.
So I just pressed that thinking, okay, if this is suggesting for me to do this, surely I can see the final before I run out of credits.
Right, okay.
And it didn't, so it couldn't get to the end of it. So I was so disappointed. I also was at the same time chatting to actual founder of Blink, absolutely lovely guy, but I probably will just message him and say, look, this was my experience, I don't think it was the best experience, and I think in general all of those platforms, including Lovable, which by the way is awesome, but they still are kind of lacking in terms of like usability, in terms of like ease of use and knowing what to do next. I remember when our clients shared with us prototype in Lovable, we could not work out how to switch between the pages because the UI was so unclear, especially when you're looking at your phone. So definitely there's plenty of room for improvement. They're only starting, but things should be sort of considered more around that. But going back to prompting, I spend lots of time learning, understanding how to prompt. And the worst thing I think is like different platforms have got different way of prompting a little bit. So I think I got I think I can prompt well in ChatGPT. Some of my prompts are like massive, like Wikipedia kind of thing, describing exactly everything, but I can get really, really good results on that. Now, when I started working with Lovable, that was a different situation because we're not asking to analyze data like we do for our clients quite a lot, but we're actually asking to build the whole platform. So I think a lot of founders and business owners who are testing Lovable quite often could be very vague and can put something like build me a fitness application, for runners or whatever, or make me a next Uber. I think like a lot of our clients like using this sentence like this is Uber for running, or this is Uber for recruitment. Not knowing that not necessarily might be a positive thing to say, but I use Uber all the time, but in some circles it could be like perceived in a different ways. But if you put like make me a next Uber for recruitment space, it probably is very, very vague in general. So that's when you get very generic screens, not sort of like, we get like surprising results. I mean, it could be great for like experimentation, but I think if we want to have a better sort of final product, if anything can be final ever, we don't want to get like clones of other products, like endless features that we didn't ask for. We probably need to kind of think about better prompting. And I came by this like a list of things that would be very helpful if you're using a Lovable or Blink in order to actually prompt it slightly better. So we can start by introducing a bit of a context. So which will be clearly defining the target audience, the app purpose, so that we actually setting the scope of who is this for and what is it for. So for example, first-time puppy owners in urban areas needing daily training tips via a mobile app. Sounds really cute.
Yeah, sounds great, that.
So that's kind of like, we can start with that. So kind of like a little bit of context.
This is probably going to jump and fill in a lot of holes for that already, right? Training, there's going to be a calendar, sort of like what's the stuff it's going to, with that context, you suddenly already starting to, like you said, bring in the scope of what it is.
Exactly, because you said they need daily training tips. So that's like the main thing, right? And is a mobile app, so this should be focused on the app.
Yeah.
Then we can talk about the task for this experiment. So we can outline the goal with a logical sequence of actionable steps. So we'll be talking about step by step what kind of screens we would like to see. So for instance, implement user authentication, create personalized tips sort of feed. Or have a dashboard for reminders.
So that's that this is where, like, the context and the task bit, this understanding of who it is that's going to use your product, that you can then provide even more context under each of those headings, right?
That's right. Yeah. But you're already seeing the AI will understand, okay, I'm expected to generate 7 screens, of which those screens is XYZ.
Yeah, so you got fast time puppy owners. So there's probably, the owners of the dog, and then you've got somebody who's like managing this, the person that knows how to train dogs. So there might be like a couple of possible prospects using this platform or service. Mm-hmm. So you can kind of think about what are the different tasks that these two different individuals have, right? So the one that actually knows the good puppy tips, they all need to be inputting that into the platform, and then the puppy owners who have the new the puppy, they're going to have all of these questions around how to train the dog. Actually, just at the weekend, our mate was talking about how they trained their dog.
That's right.
Yeah, too cute.
Too cute. Anyways, then we can talk about the guidelines. So details, so we can detail the specific features, tech stack, like UX, UI kind of consistency. So we can say, for instance, that we want to focus on React Native, will be AI-driven tips stored in Superbase, and UI should be like mobile, responsive, in specific style of CSS. We can also say we want it to be playful or dog team visuals. I'm already kind of imagining it for myself. But this is where we can kind of specify how technologically we want this to be working, right?
Yeah, is it a specific type of dog?
Specific type of dog.
Like large, big country dogs, or they like those little small chihuahuas, sort of city folks?
Okay. We can also specify constraints, so list realistic limits and testing requirements to maintain quality. So for instance, we can say we don't want to use any paid APIs. Right, we can say that we want the accessibility WCAG sort of rules to be met, right?
Yeah,
so we have good contrast.
It's really good. It's quite technical, these last two.
Yeah, it's quite technical, but you can actually work this stuff out. Even if you're not technical, you can find templates to follow, just like I did. And we can ask to simulate edge cases on iOS and Android. Or for instance, we want to say, which I really like, sign up with only 3 steps. I never thought about this to kind of like put that requirement on AI, but what if we can just say 1 step? That would be even better, right?
Yeah, interesting.
Also, really cool thing that you can do with this AI coding tools is to ask it to sort of follow the reasoning. So like as it's thinking how to do it, we can ask to clarify the logic behind why they decided to do something. So you can ask, for instance, detail your reasoning, break down the problem, evaluate tech options, and outline code structure before actually writing anything. So
I love that. So actually you could then overview what it's thrown back at you and go, actually I want to change that or tweak that, or this isn't quite right, and fill in the gaps. But then that's almost the same as asking it to prompt you better, right? Because it is actually going to explain.
It teaches you.
Yeah, off of the stuff that you've already given, and that will highlight the bits that you've missed, and then you can maybe update the reasoning before it prompts.
Possibly, yeah.
I guess that depends on how you put in that prompt, right?
That's right, and what's the output?
Before you've got it there, prompt reasoning to clarify the logic before implementing. So
Yeah.
it gives you the reasoning first, and then you can tweak and edit. Yeah, that's really cool. Like
Now, final
that.
bonus.
Well done. That was
What's
great
that?
job. Good work.
Well, it's just like trial and error kind of thing.
Yeah.
And last thing which I really found really useful is because you're so limited by those credits, as we said already, you can't even do the basic maybe thing.
You're actually kind of like blind, right?
Yes.
You don't actually know how many you're going to use. It's like Russian roulette.
That's right. Will I make it to the end? So really good idea is to play with another AI tool first to optimize. So find the template, which we just covered, then write what you want to code in Lovable or Blink. But before you do so, because every prompt will cost you credits, you can actually optimize your first prompt in a way that it will utilize the least credits to build what you want, right?
Nice.
So I was playing around with, actually Grok was really good with that, optimizing and like giving me like updates and ideas how to do it better.
That's quite cool. You just play them off each other. I've been doing that a bit.
Yeah.
ChatGPT into Claude into Perplexity into
Endless loop of
yeah.
AI.
Improve this. Yeah, it's good.
That's right. So this is really good because if you don't want to waste all of your credits really quickly, especially when you're learning, this is really, really good hack.
Yeah, so on to our 6-step product validation process. So the problem with prompting can be kind of solved because we like learn how to prompt better. Those cues that you just gave us is great. However, the fact that the AI does not understand the context or like can't validate our ideas for us, the only way to do that is to really address it is by actually like testing out our ideas. So here's our 6 steps on how we would do that. And this is like also how we actually help founders ourselves that are using like AI tools without kind of wasting months kind of going around. This is the quickest way to kind of speed it up, right? So we want to kind of like define the core hypothesis of what it is that we want to test. So for the example around the puppy owners, so we're saying, okay, puppy owners in London struggle with consistent training. And try and like keep this down into kind of like one sentence, and then that's the thing that we're looking to understand with our research. I don't like using the term research because when you
Everybody
say
hates
research,
it.
everyone's like, "Oh, why do we
Don't
want to do that?"
research.
Perfect.
We want to validate that.
Talking to people, talking to the people that you're building for. It's like caring about. You know, you're building something, you're spending all of that time and energy and effort into actually creating something cool for people to use. You need to know that it's working for these people that are going to use it. And the only way you can do that is to actually speak to them. I know people are not going to like that thought, some people. Secondly, recruit the like target users. So we're like looking for 5 to 10 people who kind of match your ICP. So this is strictly no friends, no family, real prospects. Slight caveat on that. I mean, if your friends or family have puppies, this is not the best example, is it? But
Let's try with no friends and family.
Yeah,
so.
really, you should say no friends or family because possibly it's just going to like curve you, swerve
They're gonna
your
be too
interview
nice.
anyway. They'll be too nice to you.
And they're all
also.
going to bring their puppies, so you're going to be distracted.
Yeah, I mean, definitely no puppies during this process. Yeah, so make sure they, and you know, I saw that thing where it's like, the harder your prospects are to get hold of, the more likely it is that they will actually pay if you're able to serve them. You know, lots of people say when we say, oh, you know, you need to get people that are actually prospects. They're like, oh, they're really difficult to get hold of, or it's really challenging. These people are really busy. It's
they're
like,
different than anyone else.
They're different than anyone.
That's what I've heard so many times. Every client.
Yeah. It's not true. They can be found. People are busy. Everyone is busy. But
there's some platforms as well you can find, like recruitment platforms that you actually can find people for interviews.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just make sure when you're finding them through those platforms, they are actual people that your prospects like match this ICP.
Yeah, you need some key questions, but you know, the harder they are, the more worthy they're going to be, or like speaking to. And you know, when you sort of phrase it in a certain way, it's like people love talking about themselves. So you'd be surprised how many really, really busy people will actually jump on and have a call with you if what it is that you're trying to build is going to actually help them overcome their problems. Third step is to actually run these customer interviews. And we want to like ask them to kind of walk me through how you're actually solving this problem that you're struggling with today, because that's going to give you like the end-to-end flow of what they're doing, what your product needs to kind of emulate, really. Find out like what's the hardest part of overcoming this problem, and what have you like already tried that kind of like didn't work. There's some like key questions.
I want to add to this because I think we're gonna have like a whole episode about this, about asking the right questions, because as good as the questions are, our answers will be as good only as our questions, right?
Yeah.
And we know that majority of clients that work with us admit later that they have been asking completely wrong questions. So that's, if you struggle with that, it's normal, because it's really difficult to actually ask the right questions.
Yeah, and you can get the answer you want depending on how you answer that question.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you don't want questions that are going to give you a one-word answer. That's a strict no. And
or leading questions, yeah.
Or any kind of leading questions. You want questions that are going to open up a conversation and allow them to be talking the most of the time that you're in discussion. Fourth part is to map current workflows. So don't guess on features. This is what's going to come from understanding how they're solving their problem. Map what users are kind of like already doing, like each of the steps of the journey. We did that with one of my like bigger clients in the kind of energy sector. We asked, before we joined, it was like you log on, okay, then you have to put in your meter details, and that was it. Just gives your serial number. When we actually investigated that as a problem and asked people within the team to go and find out and hunt out their meters, their gas meter, their electric meter, a whole world of like insights came up, because it's like, where is it? In the property, outside of the property, which cupboard is it in, where's the key to the cupboard?
That's the context, right? That's the context we're talking about.
On these very foreign, crazy looking like meters with loads of numbers over them, which is the actual damn number I need to input. So that gives you like, okay, yeah, here's the real world context. Oh, maybe I'm in a block of flats. So how do I know which meter is mine when none of the meters actually have clear labels on the flat? Like you would, endless problems. So there's the things that you need to understand. That needs to go in your workflow. You need to help people with overcoming these things. Fifth step is prototype only the core flow. So you use AI coding tool to build like just enough. Don't go too far and build loads of features, because you're going to complicate it. Just stick with the main problem you're trying to overcome, and can you like get somebody on board and get them to understand what this thing does, and then do the cool part of the journey.
I also noticed that AI tools like Lovable Blink, they want to over deliver. So even like on your point saying keep it very simple, they try to add other things that could be potentially usable, and sometimes it might look like it's a cool addition, but because it's just a thing like it might be useful to have also this section on this, but is it really, is it needed? So just going back to your point, we need to stay on point in terms of what is the main problem we're solving and which is the main feature, what is the priority in the app or platform.
Simplicity always wins, right?
That's right.
So build the simple onboarding and the simple main flow, and not get lost in all the additional features. And then like finally test, measure, iterate. So put it in front of real people, like fix any blockers that kind of come up, and retest. And that's your process. Just keep doing that. And it's like when people turn around to you during those sessions and go, when is this available now? When can I get it? Like how can I access it? That's when you know you've got something right. Like,
I love that.
Yeah.
It does actually happen. It did happen to me a couple of times.
Yeah.
I didn't believe that it actually happened. That actually happens until it did happen.
Yeah, it does.
Anyway, cool. This is awesome. Just to kind of summarize everything that we talked about. So AI coding tools like Lovable and Blink make building super fast. which is absolutely fantastic. And we're just going to have more clients to work with, which I'm very excited about. But most apps really still fail platforms because you can see 77% of complete churn in like around 3 days of people actually using your platform.
Massive stuff.
That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Why? Because businesses and founders still build without validating, whether it's using AI tool or without AI tools. And early quick validation is the best path to actual traction. In addition to that, obviously, if we work with AI tools, bad prompting produces clones and useless really products very often, as sad as it sounds. So validating and good prompts will improve our chances of building something magical, is something amazing that our clients and our customers will love. And going back to this really cool quote from Anton Osaka, when he said, the biggest bottleneck in product development is shifting, so it's not anymore who can build it, but who knows what to build. And to know what to build, we need to spend time with our customers.
Absolutely. So here's your challenge for this week. Whether you've already built or not, book 5 user interviews. Important, like you might not have built, and that could actually be a really great thing. So just book 5 user interviews, map their frustrations, challenges, needs and behaviors, give your AI coding tool a bit more context gained from these like interviews. You can pull as much as you can out of those interviews and use that to improve your prompts. Build out only the core flow and then test it with 5 users, real users. I promise you'll discover more from those actual conversations with real human beings than weeks of coding in AI. So go do it. It's the early days for us on our journey with building great tech. We really want to build a community. If you've got any ideas and any questions for us, please ping us. We're really keen to kind of get feedback and know how we can kind of improve on what we're doing. But if you did like this episode, please share it with someone that you think could use it. Connect with us on LinkedIn. And as I said, ask us any questions. We're really happy to help. Lastly, if you did find this of interest, feel free to go to our website buildinggreattech.com where we've got tips and guides for how you can make your platform, app, AI tool more customer focused and profitable for you. See you next time.